I'd like to welcome everyone to our annual holiday service of remembrance. As with everything this year, we have a little bit of a format change. We'd love to have everyone in our building, but with everything going on with the pandemic, we decided to go ahead and hold things virtually. We hope that this is something that helps you during this holiday season. I'm honored to present Chaplain Larry Williams, who will be helping us remember those we've lost during this difficult season.
Thank you, Eric. We've come together this afternoon for support and encouragement. And we acknowledge that God is the creator of life, the sustainer of life, and our comforter at the time of death. And we ask that God will be present with us during this time. As we remember our loved one and friends, we remember the times of laughter, times of sharing, times of frustration, times of growing and loving. We remember the times of hurting and pain. And we ask that we might feel God's Spirit washing over us like healing waters. And let the waters wash away that which must be released. And might we feel refreshed and encouraged through God's Holy Spirit. As we also celebrate the gifts that each one of our loved ones and friends have given to us and the world, we celebrate the seeds that they have planted, seeds that are growing right now and will continue to bear fruit. And help us to remember the good times and the wonderful gifts they each have given to all of us. As we come to this service of experiencing the holidays after a loss, you know, grief never ends. It just changes. Grief is a passage, not a place to stay. Grief is not a sign of weakness or a lack of faith. Grief is the price that we pay for love. And all of us are here because we have lost someone that we love dearly. And we've come to honor and to celebrate and to remember that person and to help us to be able to cope with the holidays that are facing us.
Twenty-third Psalm. God, you are my shepherd, I shall not want. In green pastures you give me comfort and rest. Besides restful waters you lead me, you refresh my soul.
God is my shepherd, there is nothing I shall want.
You guide me in the right paths for your name's sake. Even though I walk in the dark valley of death, I fear no evil, for you are at my side, with your rod and staff that give me courage.
God is my shepherd, there is nothing I shall want.
You spread the table before me in sight of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows.
God is my shepherd, there is nothing I shall want.
Only goodness and kindness follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in your house for years to come.
God is my shepherd, there is nothing I shall want.
Thank you, Marlene. I'd like to start with a story. And that story is about a little parakeet named Chirpy. That little parakeet was sucked in, washed up, and blown over. And I think we've all felt that at one time or another, especially at this time when we have lost a loved one or a friend and we're facing the holiday seasons without them. But you know, we're not finished. God gives us what we need and what we stand in need of. God said unto me, my grace is sufficient for me, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. The story is that Chirpy was sitting in his cage one day, and he was singing. And his owner decided that she wanted to clean that cage in a hurry. So she grabbed her vacuum cleaner, and she was going to clean the cage out very quickly. And she opened the door of the cage, put the hose inside the cage, and just as she did that, the phone rang. And she turned around to answer the phone, and as she did that, she heard a big... She turned around and she saw the cage was empty. Chirpy was gone. She dropped the phone, pulled the vacuum cleaner plug out of the wall, opened it up, tore up the bag, and there was Chirpy inside that dusty, dirty bag. She pulls him out, and she does what any bird-loving person would do. She takes him into the bathroom, turns on the water, and gives him a bath. Washes him. And then she's noticing that little Chirpy is just shivering all over. So what does she do? She grabs her hair dryer. She plugs it in, puts it on high, and blasts him with hot air. All in a matter of minutes, poor Chirpy was sucked in, washed up, and blown over. She put him back in the cage. Poor Chirpy didn't sing. Several weeks he just sat there, wondering what was going to happen next. And then finally one morning, she woke up and she heard Chirpy singing again. We may feel like Chirpy right now, like we've been sucked in, washed up, and blown over. But thank God, we don't have to stay there. And you know, there's probably many questions going on in your mind right now. And those questions could be, does God really care? Does God know how I feel? Does God understand? Does God love me? And to those questions, I can answer an affirmative yes. Other questions might be, why did my loved one or friend have to die? Why didn't God do something to stop this? Why didn't God change the outcome? To those questions, I have no answer. We may never know the whys or understand now, but I do know that God is love, and that He cares for each and every one of us. I'm proof. I've had several tragedies within my life, and it's hard. 32 years ago, on October 3rd, we got a knock on our door, and there was an Ozaukee County policeman standing there. When I answered the door, he says, "Do you have a daughter named Laura?" I said, "Yes." And he says, "There's been an accident on Interstate 43. There's one fatality, and it's her." At that moment, I felt sucked in, washed up, and blown over. 4.5 years ago, I lost my wife of 50.5 years after battling cancer for 10.5 years. I know how you feel. I've been there. Like I said, I've been sucked in, washed up, blown over. It takes a while to get over it. But thank God, just like Chirpy, I can sing a little bit sometimes. You know, none of us are ever ready to say goodbye to our loved one or friend, no matter how it happens. With our daughter Laura, it was suddenly, unexpected. With my wife Jenny, it was 10.5 years. But I wasn't any more prepared to lose Jenny than I was to lose Laura. We wish that we could have them just a little bit longer. Just another hour, another day. But that's not life. Life changes in a matter of seconds, a matter of moments. And as we're facing the holidays after a loss, I want to share this with you. I'm not going to tell you anything perhaps new or outstanding. Handling the holidays, especially the first one, is extremely hard. And everyone is a unique individual. Some things that I will suggest today will work for you. Others may not. You have to decide for yourself. Don't judge or compare yourself with others. There's no magic wand that you can wave to handle what is before you. The key to keeping yourself afloat at this time is a matter of navigation, getting yourself through safely and soundly. And I'm going to offer you a very, very simple plan. And it's the word cope, C-O-P-E. And Webster's dictionary meaning is to fight or contend with, slash or strike, to deal with problems or troubles. The first part of the definition describes our desire to strike out after the unfairness of the holidays. The second half of the definition deals with problems, describes our goals that we want to achieve. We may use the principle of this word cope as a compass to guide us safe and sound through this difficult time of the holidays. And the first letter, C, it stands for clear. Clear our minds. Release frustrations, pent-up feelings. The hardest part of the holiday is watching it come. All of the hype, all of the advertisement you see on TV. You walk into the stores, everything is festival, full of cheer, full of goodwill. It can paralyze you to realize the choices that you have. Take time to talk to someone on how you feel. Write down your thoughts and your feelings in a journal or on a piece of paper. Try to clear your mind. Set yourself apart. And then the second letter is O. Stands for organization. And I have to tell you that is a challenge. Organize. Examine our priorities. Make a list in order of what you want to do and feel that you can do. You're already pulling a very heavy emotional load. You can't expect to pile on more and more and more on your schedule. People to see, places to go, things to be done. When you think of all of that on top of all of the other pressure, maybe you need to compromise. Eliminate some of those things. You don't need to do everything that you did the years past. That sounds like good advice, but let me tell you, it's a lot easier said than done. The third letter is P. Stands for planning. And it refers to the how of coping. Putting our priorities in order. It helps. But then you must now think through. What is best for you? What is best for you? Not what others think is best for you. How will you manage things? You know, you can listen, you can learn, you can share from others and their experiences. Do not be afraid to ask for help. Let people help you. Do things for you. And I'll have to admit, as a pastor, when we lost our daughter, that was one of the hardest things for me to do, is to let people come, help us, get through this. Because usually I was on the other side. I was the one that was always giving. And now all of a sudden, I was on the opposite side to receive. But if people say, can I do something for you? Most of our expressions are, oh, not now. But there's a whole pile of things behind us that could be done. Maybe you haven't done your laundry. Maybe you could say, someone, come in and do my laundry. Clean my house. Come over. Have a cup of coffee with me. Don't isolate yourself completely. Let others be willing to help you. And then the fourth letter is cope. Is execute. The plan that you have considered. Everything you've thought out. Execute that plan. No matter what we have thought about or planned, the thoughts, the plans mean nothing unless you remember the advice that was given to us years ago from two different companies. Burger King's slogan, have it your way. And Nike Athletic Shoe Company was just do it. So sometimes that's what we have to do as we're coping to get through this first season without our loved one. Have it your way, and then just do it. Then I'd like to share with you the Bill of Rights for the holiday griever. And the first bill is this. You have a right to say time out anytime you need to. Time out to let up. Blow off some steam. Step away from the holiday stress. Have a huddle time. A time to start over. I felt that when I lost Jenny. I wanted to go out in the backyard and just scream my lungs off. I didn't scream too loud because I was afraid they were going to call the cops. But once you release that energy within you, you feel better. Because we're like a boiler. If you don't release the steam from a boiler, what's going to happen? That boiler is going to explode. So sometimes we just need to blow off some steam. Take a time out. Walk away. Go for a walk. Go for a drive. Go into your room. Shut the door. Turn on some music. Relax. But you have the right to say, I need a time out for this. I need solitary. I need confinement right now. And then the other thing you have a right to, and this, I know we all battle with it, is tell it like it is. You know, people will come up to you, maybe during the funeral or after this funeral's over or a week or so, they'll call you up and say, how you doing? And I can guarantee you 99.9% of the time, our reaction to that question is, I'm doing fine. We're the biggest liars there ever was. We aren't doing fine. We just lost someone we loved, someone we cared for. Our whole life has been turned upside down, inside out. Be truthful with them. Tell them like it is. I'm having a crappy day. They may walk away, oh. But then after they walk away, you'll think, hey, that felt pretty good. I told them what I felt. They asked me and I told them. Don't be afraid to announce. I know our society says we're supposed to be strong, we're supposed to be macho, we're supposed to be this, we're supposed to be that. We can't show grief, we can't show crying, we can't show this, can't do that. Baloney. It's all part of the healing process. Tell it like it is. We have the right to tell them. After all, they asked us. They were the ones that said, how are you? Now, if you are having a good day, then tell them, I'm having a good day. But be honest with them. I think the reason we respond with, I'm doing fine, everything's okay, is because we know that's what they expect to hear. But we have the right to tell them. And then we have the right to smile and to say, I'm doing okay. Telling some people how you really feel isn't worth your time because they don't understand it. After our daughter was killed, I had one of my board members come up to me and they told me they were totally disappointed in me as their pastor and I shouldn't stay in the ministry. And I said, why? Because we saw you cry at your daughter's funeral. I took that at heart and I was devastated until I realized it was total ignorance on his part. He had never suffered a loss. He didn't know what it was like to lose a child. He didn't know what it was like to have his heart torn out, his heart ripped with a hole in it. So I finally just marked it off as ignorance on his part. Sometimes when people say things to you, you're better off not to take them to heart. Another expression that people say to someone when we've lost somebody, and I had this said to me also, oh, she's in a better place. Humbug. true, she's in heaven. I know both Laura and Jenny are in heaven, but do I want them in heaven right now? No, I want them right here. So even though they are in a better place, we don't want to hear that said to us at this time that we're grieving, that we're trying to get over our loss. So everything that is said to you, don't take it as total value. Some things need to be just let in one ear and out the other ear. And along with that, you have the right to have humbug days. You do not have to be jolly old St. Nick all the time. You are not a bad person just because you don't feel in the holiday mood. You don't feel like singing Christmas carols. You don't feel like decorating. You don't feel like it's any festival things at all during this time. You have that right to have that feeling. That first Christmas, I decorated the Christmas tree on Christmas Eve afternoon. We had it up for Christmas Day, and on the 26th of December, I took the Christmas tree down. I look at it now, and that's just the way I felt. I couldn't get in the spirit. We didn't even wrap gifts. And our son suffered. But I couldn't handle it at that time. And he understood it. Jenny understood it. So if you're having a bad day, allow yourself to have it. And then make sure you don't stay in that groove or in that humbug feeling. Work on getting it out on a smooth, even keel. And then you have the right to do things differently, completely different. Our family tradition was that Jenny and I always had the family over to our house for Thanksgiving. And we'd fix up the turkey dinner, we'd decorate. But then when Jenny got sick, our son spoke up and said that him and his wife were going to start having the dinner at their house. And so we allowed him to do that. So for 10 years, every Thanksgiving Day, we went to their house for dinner. Well, that first Thanksgiving, around the last of October, my son calls me. He says, "Dad, I got to ask you a question." I said, "Okay." He says, "You got a passport?" I said to him, "Yeah." "Why?" "Oh, just wanted to know. That's all." That's all he said and hung up. Well, a few weeks later, he calls up. He says, "Dad, I want you to do me a favor." "Okay." "I want you to pack a suitcase." I says, "Pack a suitcase with what?" He says, "Shorts, swimming suit, short sleeve shirts, tennis shoes." I says, "Where we're going?" He says, "You'll know." Okay, so I'm thinking, yeah, he's just pulling my leg. Well, the week before Thanksgiving, he calls up and says again, "Dad, I want you to be ready to go at 12 midnight Thanksgiving morning." Okay, you want me to have a passport, you want me to pack my bags, where are we going? He says, I'll tell you, we gotta be to O'Hare Airport by 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, where we're going? You'll find out. He kept everything a mystery, something for me to look forward to, something to do different. We ended up in Cancun, Mexico for 4 days. And he says, we're doing something different. We are not staying home, because if we stay home and have Thanksgiving dinner at our house, we're all going to be thinking about Mom. And he says, that's not wrong, but that isn't what Mom would want. Mom would want you to be someplace happy, to do something a little bit different. And it was different. But you know what? I appreciated it. It was something different. Have we done it since? No. Have we been back to his house? Yeah, the second Thanksgiving, we were back at his house for Thanksgiving dinner. But it was just something a little bit different. You know, because there's no law that says you must do the holidays the same way. You can change. You can make new traditions. You can have dinner at a different place or a different time. Instead of doing 100 Christmas cards, maybe you only want to do 10 cards. That's okay. Open your presents at a different time. Or if you feel more comfortable, keep things the same. These decisions are your decisions, and you're the only one that can tell how you feel. When Laura was killed, we sought out some counseling because it was such a tragic death. And I told the counselor, I said, I want to get back to normal. I want life like it is. I think all of us can understand that right now today with the virus. Our lives have been turned upside down. We want a new normal. We want a normal. And that counselor said to me, Larry, what was normal before Laura died will never be normal again. And he said, if you want a normal, you're going to have to work at it. You're going to have to make a new normal. And one of the things was my responsibility was, as dad, is I would get home a little bit sooner than my wife would, and I would start supper at night. And the normal thing for me to do was I set 4 places at the kitchen table, 4 place settings. Okay. After Laura passed, I continued setting 4 place settings at that table. I could not make myself only have 3 place settings. Until the day came when I came home from the church and I started to get the dishes and the glasses and the silverware out. I only set 3 place settings. That was the new normal for me. I had to work at it. That night when I only set 3 place settings was one of the hardest nights I had. Because then I was acknowledging Laura would never come home again. It was hard. There were some tears running down my cheek that night. But I had to work at a new normal. And all of us, when we lose a loved one, I've had to work at a new normal. I lived with Jenny for 50 and a half years, and 20 years before that, I lived with my parents. So for 70 and a half years, I've always lived with somebody. Now, I'm living by myself. And that's a big adjustment. I've had to find new normals. I've had to work at new normals. And that's what it is when we lose someone. If we want to get back to normal, we have to work at finding something new. And then you have the right to be where you want to be. You want to be at home? Or do you want to go to a relative's home or a friend's home? Any state you want. You can stay in Wisconsin. You can go to Florida. You can go to Cancun, Mexico. You can go where you want. Be free. Or you can stay home. You do not have to have snow in order to have Christmas. You can have Christmas where it's someplace warm. Or you can have Christmas where there's a little snow. Or you can go north where they have plenty of snow. It's your decision. And then you have the right, and this is so difficult, you have the right to have some fun and laugh. This is a hard thing to do, because when you do it, you're going to feel guilty. Again, what I've been sharing with you from my heart, I have lived through it. Jenny passed away on a Wednesday. Friday night, my grandson was in a high school play at McGuanago High School. And my son said to me, "Dad, we're going to pick you up and we're going to take you to his play." And I said, "No, you're not. I'm not going." He says, "Yes, you are." Sometimes we need to have a little push in the butt. Get out of the chair, get out of the house. So I went. And I sat there, and that play was fantastic. It was. They did one good job. And you know what I found myself doing? Laughing. How could I laugh? I'm sitting at the high school in Mugwanago, Wisconsin, and Jenny's body's in Burlington, Wisconsin at Shooty Daniels' funeral home. How could I do that? I felt guilty. When I was starting to laugh, I put my hand over my mouth. I couldn't laugh. But you know what? It was part of the healing process. And I came to realize that that's exactly what Jenny would have wanted me to do. She would have wanted me to go to see his play and to experience it. Eating out is another hard thing to do after we've lost a loved one. You go to a restaurant to eat out, at least we used to before the virus. Now we got masks on so you can't see people laughing and smiling and that. But to hear them laugh and talking and having a good time, I know my own feeling was, I wanted to walk over to that table that was laughing and having a good time, and I wanted to grab them by the back of the neck and shake them and say, "Hey, you can't have a good time because I'm hurting. My heart's broken. My heart's been pulled out. I've got a hole in my heart." Reality is this. Life goes on. The world goes on. It's okay to laugh, to have a little bit of fun. That's what our loved one that has gone on would want us to do. And then you have the right to change directions in midstream. Holiday grief is very unpredictable. You may be ready to go someplace, all dressed up, about ready to get your coat on to walk out the front door, and then something's going to hit you. And you're going to say, "I just can't go. I'm too overwhelmed." When that happens, it's okay. Change your mind. There's plenty of time in life that you can be predictable. Remember, you're the only one that really knows how you feel. And then you have the right to do things at a different time. Go to church at a different time. Eat your holiday dinner at a different time. Open your presents at a different time. Or, if it's more comfortable and it's easier for you, keep things the same. You have the right to rest, for peace, for solitude. You don't need to be busy all of the time. Take a nap, go for a walk, sit in your favorite chair, pray, meditate, recharge your spirit. This may do you more good than anything else. And then you have the right to do it all differently next year. Just because you change things one year doesn't mean you have to stay with that change. Change it back to the way it was. Or again, do something totally different, totally new. Nothing is written in stone and says that you have to stay and do exactly what you did the year before. You know, everyone is different. And what I've shared with you might work for you, it might not, but it worked for me. So you have to make the decision. You can try it. Find out if it works for you personally. If it does, that's great. And if it doesn't, try something new. If you don't try it, you'll never know. And if you do try it and it doesn't work, you haven't lost a thing. You try something different again until you find out what's best for you. Have it your way and just do it. At this time, the memorial candle will be lit, and the hymn on Eagle's Wings is going to be played. And may you take a moment to reflect on the person that you are celebrating, honoring, and remembering at this time. Think of the wonderful memories that you carry in your heart about them. And my prayer and my thoughts are that this hymn will lift you up on eagle's wings and give you strength to continue your life's journey. this time I'd like to ask you to do a favor. We're going to have a remembrance meditation. And what I would like for you to do, whether you're sitting in your living room or your family room or someplace, is to place everything out of your hands and put your hands in your lap and put your feet completely on the floor and sit uprightly. And I would like for you to remember the person that you've lost. And I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to place yourself in one of the most beautiful places you could imagine to be. It could be a quiet, beautiful place next to a bubbling stream, or on a hillside, or in a meadow with the birds singing, or out in the woods with the leaves changing color, or out on a lake in a boat, someplace that's really peaceful and beautiful. And now I'd like for you to take a deep breath in, and then slowly exhale. And after you exhale, I want you to think of your loved one or friend. Remember how they looked. Remember their smile. The sound of their voice. Their laughter. The color of their hair. Color of their eyes. Remember something they said to you. It could be funny, humorous, serious. Maybe it's something only the two of you know about. What is something you'd like to say to them? Let yourself imagine that you are talking to them. You're sitting in a chair across from them. Say it out loud to yourself right where you're sitting. Take their hand into your hand. Look directly into their eyes. Tell them how much they meant to you and how much you meant to them. Give them a big hug and hold them tight. Tell them, I love you. I love you. Now comes the hard part. It's time to say goodbye or good night. Take another deep breath. Exhale, relax, and come back into the room. The last line of a Jewish funeral service says this: may his or her memory be a blessing to you. May you feel blessed by having the memories of your loved one that you can carry in your heart the rest of your life's journey. And as we close our service, we're going to hear the hymn, Hello After Goodbye, and it's sung by the Legacy Five.
We dance and laugh, and we say goodbye. How our hearts break, and oh, how we cry. Yet though we grieve, we still have hope. 'Cause for all hearts of faith we trust and know there is a hello after goodbye, a blessed reunion promised in time. We will be with them far longer than we were without. No doubt, no more tears in our eyes, in that beautiful, wonderful hello after goodbye. Next time we see them, we'll never more know the sorrow and pain of letting go. We're with them forever, life without end. In that most blessed sweet moment when there is a hello after goodbye, a blessed reunion promised in time. We will be with them far longer than we were without. No doubt, no more tears in our eyes, in that beautiful, wonderful hello after goodbye. We will see them again, be with them again, laugh and talk like before, sing and worship forevermore. There is a hello after goodbye, a blessed reunion promised in time. We will be with them far longer than we were without. No doubt, no more tears in our eyes, in that beautiful, wonderful hello after goodbye.
I'd like to share this with you, entitled Remembered Joy. Don't grieve for me, for now I'm free. I followed the plan God laid for me. I saw his face, I heard his call. I took his hand and left it all. I could not stay another day, to love, to laugh, to work or play. Tasks left undone must stay that way. And if my parting has left a void, then fill it with all of the remembered joy. A friendship shared, a laugh, a kiss, ah yes, These things I too shall miss. My life's been full, I've savored much. Good times, good friends, a loved one's touch. Perhaps my time seemed all too brief. Don't shorten years with undue grief. Do not be burdened with tears of sorrow. Enjoy the sunshine of all the morrows, and keep within your heart all of the remembered joys until we are united again one day. All that I've said today offers the same basic measure. There is no right way or wrong way to grieve. There's only one way, which is the correct way. You have a choice. You can deny the holidays exist, but it will take a tremendous amount of energy to deny all the celebration going on around you. You compound your loss of the one that you loved, plus the loss of the holiday season. Or you can embrace Thanksgiving, Christmas, and the New Year's celebration, for it's a time of remembrance, a miracle of human survival, and it's hope for the future. May God's blessing be upon each and every one of you. And if there's anything I can do to help, you can always contact me through the funeral home here in Burlington. Eric.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank you for spending time with us today. We know that the holidays can be tough, and we hope this can help you through those times. Something that we do every year at the end of our annual holiday program is we like to send an angel with all the families that come to celebrate and remember with us. We'd like to continue doing that this year. We'd like to continue with a little angel, obviously being virtual and doing it a little differently. If you'd like to call the funeral home, we can set up a time for you to stop by and we can run one out to your vehicle. Once again, thank you very much for being here and celebrating with us, and we wish you the best during this holiday season.